Good evening. Welcome back to VBL Tonight. I'm Geoff Passion, and tonight's focus on our spring training wraparound is the 2025 Hartford Whalers. I'm here in downtown Hartford in front of Dunkin' Donuts Park to talk about a team that's both surprising and under-exceeding all at the same time. The 2024 Hartford Whalers went 77-85 in a season that could be considered both a plus and a minus. The team finished with its best record in many years, but failed to make the playoffs in a wide-open Helton division, losing out to the upstart expansion team, the St. Paul Saints. It'll be interesting to see a team that's returning most of its bats and most of its starting rotation as well, if they build on what they did last year or if they take a quick regression. The team had two key losses, one being starter David Logan. There just wasn't enough room on this roster after the team went all in last year and failed to make a playoff run. But David Logan is not really the biggest loss that one could consider. Dave Anthony was the biggest loss from the hitting side. The backup catcher, didn't really do much in 2024, and the team was willing to move on from him. Even mid-season, they tried to make a quick little upgrade of that position. Didn't really pan out for the team here. But the Hartford Whalers, of course, will be anchored on offense by their two young studs, Ronald Acuna Jr. and Santiago Gonzalez. Santiago Gonzalez will play the left side of the infield, mostly third base, but also some reps at shortstop. He projects to be a five-tool player, hitting for power, hitting for average, being able to run the bases well. And we saw some flashes of that last year. We've seen some flashes of this in spring training, but he never really came into his own. If he can come into his own this year, it will definitely be a game changer for these Whalers. Ronald Acuna Jr., on the other hand, kind of had what some might consider an average season last year. He struggled out of the gate this spring, but he may be a game changer as well if he can live up to the potential that the team sees in him. Even if he doesn't, they still have some good pieces around him, currently projecting to score 937 runs, with Tom Parkinson, Greg Bird, Ricardo Maldonado, Dick Muirhead off the bench, Dave Turner, the hit machine, Joey Bart, and I already said Greg Bird. Well, it's the first. We're still in preseason here in VBL tonight, and it's going to be what it's going to be. When we look at the pitching for the Hartford Whalers, as I mentioned, they're projected to score 937 runs and win 95 games right now. Speaking with the team today, I actually spoke with General Manager Dave Snyder. He seems to think that's a bit of an aggressive number from the projectors. He thinks that it may be more closer to a 500 ball club, maybe just above 500, but again, making a push for that third playoff spot, hopefully a second playoff spot if they can. But pushing 95 wins seems like a big jump for a team that really didn't make any major changes from last season. If you remember, they traded most of their draft capital and a few prospects to kind of upgrade their team mid-season. A couple of guys got hurt, so there were some injury bugs there, but again, they didn't really make that push that you thought they would make with that starting rotation that they built. That starting rotation mostly returns with the exception of David Logan, as we mentioned. Stevens, Burton, Jenkins, and Hawkins will all fill in the first four starting roles. And then it seems like there may be a hodgepodge there for that fifth starter role. It could be newcomer. I didn't write his name in my notes. It could be Mike Fry. It could be Ferris. It could be Jason Yoder. The team's still trying to figure that one out. It'll probably be a fifth starter by committee, most likely, especially if the team can get some consistent wins out of their top four arms. The back half of the bullpen also looks to be returning as it did from last season. We know that Chris Sharp likes to give people heart attacks. I heard rumors that he was shopped in the offseason, but there just wasn't anything that fit, especially with the popularity that Chris Sharp brings in. He's the number one jersey seller on the team currently. You just don't want to get rid of a guy like that because he has a few blown saves and he makes you scratch your head a few times. So he'll be anchoring the back half of the bullpen, and Henry Gill and Mike Fry will be in the setup roles. Currently, as the team stands, there's still four spots left for 7 pitchers, and that's it. Everything else is set. So Who gets those long and middle relief roles will be to be determined. Could be Lucio Bautista. It could be, like we mentioned, Jason Yoder could be in there. It could be Grant Howard. Grant Howard is a good leader on the team. I can't imagine that the team would move on or send him down and risk him leaving on waivers. So that's likely going to be the scenario. I think Mal Silver may be finally done. I think GM Snyder may have had enough with him. Somehow I went dark in Hartford. The power's gone out in Hartford. Oh well. I think Mal Silver may be on the chopping block, just knowing the history there. He has never put it together. He's having a great spring, but he's never put it together in the regular season. And so it'll be interesting to see who comes out of that pile with only three games left in spring training. The other thing to mention is they did bring in a backup catcher in Paul Griggs. Griggs, a bit of a downgrade from Dave Anthony. I think he's there more for his leadership. You expect Joey Bart to play almost every day. Even if he's struggling a little bit, he can hit both sides and just really, is going to be out there for probably 150 games. So kind of looking at Griggs to be kind of a clubhouse mentor and really the only major offseason addition from a team that spent most of its capital in the prior season. So the Hartford Whalers look to make some noise this year. It'll remain to be seen whether they can actually do it or not, whether they shirk like they did last year or whether they stand tall and fight their way to the finish. But there's some good rumors out there, and we'll see how it goes. I'm Geoff Passion, VBL Tonight.